Well, big highball and hello to all the model railroaders and rail fans out there, and welcome to January 2022's edition of the Central Division. So this morning, I always have my coffee, these intros, and so I was kind of feeling in a logical mood today, and so especially being a Star Trek nerd, I have my Mr. Spock mug, and he is full of caffeine, and he's got me going, got me pumping and everything. I tell you too, 2022, that still sounds funny to me saying that. 2021 seems like the year just kind of blew by. But it's just, it's the way it is, right? It seems like the older you get, the quicker things kind of move. But hey, anyway, I'm hoping that everyone out there had a good Christmas holiday and your new year is starting out well. My wife and I, we had a good Christmas, and the family had a good Christmas. Santa brought me a few things on the list, and I'm really happy to say with this the latest pandemic surge that the family is safe and well, and I'm hoping that everyone out there is also staying safe and well, both to you and your family and everything. I tell you, the cool thing is, I took some time off during the holiday season and got a lot accomplished in the layout that I'll be sharing with you, as well as starting a locomotive project and a weathering project in another boxcar. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to show you what I've done. So I must have been really good this year, done something really right, because Santa Claus left me two locomotives under the tree. The first one I'm going to show you here is the Rapido EMD SW 1200 locomotive, Missouri Pacific. Of course, that's the railroad that I model. This is the first Rapido locomotive that I've owned, and so far I've been really pleased. The detail is really good. And the decoder set up, and this is a lock sound decoder, it's factory installed, but it's set up to make the locomotive run like a prototypical, SW1200 or a similar switching locomotive. You get that locomotive growl, and it's kind of a slow startup as it encounters way to those cars, and then starts moving. So it's perfect for a switching locomotive. The only two negatives I've noticed is one, it tends to stall over turnouts and if it hits a dirty spot in the track. And especially the turnout issue, that can be an issue with these short wheelbase locomotives. But on all my locomotives, I add keep alives. And even though this is really, really tight, you see here, I found some room up in the cab where I can put a KA2. And so I think once that's installed, that should solve, any type of stalling, and it should run fine. And my other locomotives just run great with these keep alives in there, so I really recommend them. But I'm going to get it in there, and we'll do some testing, and I'll show you how that turns out next episode. Now, the only other negative that I've noticed is, and I've actually read, there was some reviews about this, is the person at the factory went a little bit overboard on installing or putting grease in the locomotive trucks, such that it's oozed out, got on the back of the wheels and underneath the trucks. Another problem is easily solved, but it was a little bit disappointing. These are not cheap locomotives, and you would think that the quality control would be better. However, it doesn't affect the running. Like I said, it's an easy thing to clean up, and once the K is in there, this is going to be a really nice addition to the locomotive fleet. So the second locomotive I was lucky enough to find under the tree on Christmas morning is an Athearn Genesis Missouri Pacific GP38-2. Now this one also has a factory installed sound decoder. Athearn Genesis uses the Tsunami 2 line. And I really like these Athearn locomotives, especially the Genesis line. They're very detailed. Athearn tends to do the research really well. Now I've already got a Missouri Pacific GP38-2 from maybe 4 or 5 years ago. What I like about this model, it's the early release of the GP38-2. So it has the spark arresters, and for the Missouri Pacific model, it has the early buzzsaw logo, and it fits a little bit better in the era I'm modeling, the 1970s. So like the rest of my locomotives, this one will also get a keep alive. I'll be using a K2 on this model. And the cool thing about the Tsunami decoders is they have a plug-in where you can plug in their version of a keep alive. However, their versions are usually, they're really big. I'm not sure how you would fit them in some of these locomotives. So what I do is I take the harness, I clip one in, and then I'll solder the wires of the K2 to the clipped end of the Tsunami harness, and that way all I have to do is just plug it in the K2. I can just use the harness and plug it into the decoder, so I'm not having to sweat and keep my fingers crossed as I'm trying to solder something directly to a sound decoder. Once the K2 is installed, again, it's going to make a great addition to the fleet, I think. So one project I've got waiting in the wings is the weathering of a Railbox boxcar. And if you're a subscriber to my series, or if you've just seen the last couple of episodes, you probably remember I was actually weathering a Railbox boxcar just like this one. It was another Atlas, and it was the first time I used artist oils. I was using a dot fade technique, and it was really looking good. I was really excited about it. And long story short, let's just say that gravity, a Railbox boxcar, and a concrete patio is not a good mix. Unfortunately, when I was moving the car, I had it outside and I just let the dull coat dry. I thought it was secure to the board, and it just slid off, hit the patio, and unfortunately it cracked 2 places in the body, so it wasn't one of those situations where I could just glue parts back on. So anyway, lesson learned, make sure the car is secure before you move it. But again, the replacement is here, and so after I finish up with another car that I'm working on, I will start again on the Railbox boxcar. So the current weathering project I'm working on is a Katy 40-foot boxcar, and this one is Missouri Pacific. And Katy makes some really nice cars. They do very well on doing the research. The cars are very detailed. And since I model the 70s, looking at the images taken in the 70s of these cars, they're looking really, really tired. They've been around for a while. So you see a lot of fading, a lot of rust. Many had already been retired to maintenance away service and scrapped. Those that were still in freight service, again, they were this was kind of their last years. So this has allowed me to kind of have some fun with this project. So what I've done is so far is a dot fade technique using artist oils. And then I've gone back and I've actually put a real kind of a dark brown black rust on the exterior supports and kind of the cracks and crevices and everything, because these cars have been out there for quite a bit. So hopefully by next episode I'll have everything finished and I'll show you the results. So the Christmas break also allowed me a lot of time to work on the layout. So what I've done here is around the Fort Smith Biscuit Company. I've added in some grass and weeds around the structure, and I use the Silflor brand static grass, and I model early fall, so I use a mixture of different shades of light green as well as some fall color grass, and mix that up. Again, you never want just like a solid color. Nature rarely is one solid color. I've also added the super leaf material in here. It's great for to show weeds, and I'll just use different shades of green for that. I've gone in and weathered the parking lot, and added some weathering chalks to kind of fade it out, as well as tire and rubber marks and things like that you normally see on an asphalt parking lot. In some of the open areas, what I've done is I've gone in and using the super tree material and the super leaf material, I've added in trees, and again modeling early fall, you have a mixture of kind of faded greens there, as well as you start seeing kind of the changing colors and things like that. I've also added a road and almost finished with that, the downtown section. Matter of fact, when I was making this video, I just laid down the striping for the street there. So really this whole area around the yard is really starting to come along, and nothing's ever 100% finished, but we're getting pretty close there. So I've also worked on other areas of the layout. The side where I have my feed mill, and in this area I'll also be putting in a company called the Arkansas Coffin Company, is later changed Casket Company. And this was actually an industry in Fort Smith until the 80s. The building's actually still there, the company is gone. As well as I'll have what's called the 32nd Team Track, which was also in the Fort Smith area, and that'll have a general purpose ramp as well as a piggyback ramp. Now, for the feed mill, what I've done is I've gone in, I've added the gravel parking lot. I still have to go in and weather the gravel a little bit, and add some grass and overgrowth and things like that to make it more realistic. I've also put in a road next to the feed mill, as you see here, and I use the 2mm foam sheets, like I did with the other roads on the layout. And a matter of fact, I've got a video series on this channel on making realistic roads using those foam sheets. So if you're interested in using foam to make realistic roads, just, I encourage you to go take a look. I think you'll really be pleased in how easy it is and some of the great results that you get. Another thing I've done on this side is gone in and added land contours. The world's not flat, so to get a more realistic look in the layout, I always like to add dips and hills and things like that. Very easy to do. Basically, for kind of the dips or little valleys, I just took a Dremel tool at a low speed. You don't want this thing flying. And using the little sander add-on, basically just sort of sanded out or cut out little dips in the area. For the hills and little bumps, real easy. Took some scrap foam material, I put that down, and then I took the plaster cloth and put that over foam, let it dry, and then went back and then put some Sculptamold. So when I was making this video, I was at to the point where I have put down some like earth brown latex paint and just sprinkled the area with kind of like a earth mixed ground foam. So I've still got to go back, and add the trees and other things there, but it's starting to come along. Well, I appreciate everyone stopping by, and as you see, I've put a lot of work in the last few weeks, and still a long way to go, but it's kind of the fun of the hobby, right? There's always something to do, something to kind of keep our interest. And hey, I do want to give a shout out to the subscribers like I do every episode. You are the ones that keep me motivated and keep me going. A lot of you, by subscribing, I've been connected to your channel and seen some of the great things that you're doing on your layout. It's so fun to share the hobby, so absolutely appreciate that. Matter of fact, I've just surpassed the 500 subscriber marks for this channel. But again, numbers aren't important. Whether it was 2 subscribers or 2,000 subscribers, I just enjoy sharing the layout, sharing the hobby with you, but absolutely appreciate that support. Hey, next month, I should have that box car weathering project done. So I'll show you that, and hopefully we'll have a start on the Railbox box car. This one will be secure before any moving's done. I've learned my lesson and everything, but I'll be sharing that with you, and we'll be running some trains and showing you some of the other updates and things that I've got done between now and when the next video is out. So until next time, happy model railroading and highball.